Welcome to the Bestof series, where we dive into some of the most surprising and dramatic stories shared by Reddit users. Today's story is about an unusual tattoo, a relationship boundary pushed way too far, and the emotional fallout that followed. Imagine dating someone for almost a year, being clear about wanting to keep things casual, only to find out your girlfriend got a huge tattoo inspired by you. But it's not just any tattoo. It's a sprawling, questionable piece covering a big part of her body, filled with copies of your own tattoos, some with deep personal meaning. Our original poster, or OP, was cautious from the start. Recently divorced and focused on raising his young kids, he made it clear he wasn't ready for anything serious. Yet despite his clear boundaries, this unexpected tattoo threatens to change everything. The story builds suspense as we'll see how OP reacts and what consequences this wild gesture brings to their relationship. Stay tuned for a roller coaster of emotions, drama, and tough decisions. OP's story begins with a man who's been through a lot. Recently divorced, he has full custody of his two young children, aged 2 and 4. Naturally, his kids are his top priority, and he's been clear from the very beginning that he wants to take things slow with any new relationship. His life is already busy and complicated, so jumping into something serious just isn't on the table right now. He met his girlfriend about a year ago. Their connection was easygoing, and they agreed to keep the relationship casual. OP is someone who has quite a few tattoos, many of which hold personal meaning. Some represent his hobbies, memories with friends, or even his family. In contrast, his girlfriend had only one tiny tattoo on her ankle. OP made sure to communicate repeatedly that he wanted to keep the relationship light and didn't want things to get serious too quickly. Despite this, the girlfriend decided to get a massive tattoo, one that took him completely by surprise. This tattoo wasn't just a simple design or a small tribute. It was a huge, sprawling piece that covered her backside, starting where her leg meets her body and stretching all the way up to her neck. What made it even more shocking was that it included copies of several of OP's tattoos, some of which had very deep and personal meanings to him. This unexpected tattoo shattered the boundaries OP had set and threatened the casual nature of their relationship. What happens next is a mix of confusion, hurt, and tough choices. The story is just beginning. While OP was away on a work trip, his girlfriend sent him a series of messages with pictures attached. She called it a special surprise, but nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. The photos revealed a giant tattoo covering nearly her entire back. It was a sprawling tree, its trunk thick and strong, stretching upward with countless branches. At first glance, it was impressive artwork. But what caught OP's attention and made his heart race were the details within the branches. The branches were filled with copies of some of OP's tattoos, recreated in her own style. One was the memorial tattoo OP had for his late best friend, a small symbol that meant the world to him. Another was a delicate sketch drawn by one of his kids, which he'd had inked on his arm to keep close. These were deeply personal marks, symbols tied to his past, his family, and his identity. OP was stunned, unsure whether to feel flattered or violated. The tattoo was far bigger and more detailed than he ever imagined. The quality was uneven. Some parts looked carefully done, while others seemed rushed or poorly executed. It was clear she had put a lot of time and effort into this, but it felt overwhelming. When she explained, she said she wanted to honor him in the most permanent way possible, by taking pieces of him and making them part of herself. To her, this was a romantic gesture, a symbol of their connection and her love. But for OP, it felt more like an invasion, a crossing of boundaries he had carefully set. He wasn't sure how to respond. The surprise had opened a complicated mix of emotions and questions about what this tattoo really meant for their relationship. OP's feelings after seeing the tattoo were a storm of confusion and discomfort. At first, he couldn't believe what he was looking at. The sheer size and invasive nature of the tattoo made him feel betrayed. This wasn't just a small symbol of affection, it felt obsessive, almost like his girlfriend had taken ownership of parts of him without asking. He thought back to how he had clearly communicated the boundaries in their relationship. He wanted to keep things casual and slow, yet this tattoo screamed permanence. It felt like a form of emotional pressure, a statement that pulled the relationship into a place OP wasn't ready to go. The tattoo also created an uncomfortable conflict inside OP. On one hand, he understood the meaning it held for her. She was trying to honor him and show love. On the other hand, the tattoo represented deeply personal parts of his life, memories, and family. Seeing them inked on someone else's skin, especially someone he was not fully committed to, made OP feel exposed and vulnerable. His attraction to her began to fade. Instead of feeling closeness and intimacy, the tattoo brought distance and tension. The mood shifted whenever he thought about it. What was supposed to be a casual relationship suddenly felt heavy and complicated. OP faced a painful dilemma. Should he break up with her and walk away, or try to navigate this new reality and continue the relationship? Both options seemed difficult. The tattoo was a physical symbol of a boundary, crossed, one he couldn't easily ignore. He knew the next steps would require honest conversations and difficult decisions about what he could accept in his life. After sharing his story on Reddit, OP was flooded with reactions from the online community. Many commenters were blunt and to the point. One popular comment summed it up as, "She wants to wear your skin," capturing the invasive and unsettling feeling many had. Others called the girlfriend crazy or obsessive, warning OP to get out while he still could. However, there were also voices of sympathy, recognizing OP's struggle to balance love and boundaries. Some users shared similar experiences with partners crossing emotional limits in extreme ways. Others offered advice on how to approach difficult conversations and self-care after a breakup. The range of opinions showed just how complicated the situation was. It wasn't a simple case of right or wrong, but a tangled mess of emotions and expectations. In a later update, OP confirmed that after much thought and the community's support, he had decided to end the relationship. The tattoo had become a clear boundary he couldn't cross. His decision wasn't made lightly, but it brought some peace after weeks of uncertainty. Eventually, OP reached a breaking point. The tattoo, which he once viewed as a bizarre surprise, became a deal-breaker he couldn't ignore. He decided to end the relationship, knowing it was the healthiest choice for both of them. Breaking the news to his girlfriend was painful. She reacted with anger and frustration, feeling misunderstood and hurt. To her, the tattoo was a heartfelt tribute, and she couldn't grasp why OP saw it differently. In an attempt to mend some of the damage, the tattoo artist agreed to cover up the copied parts of OP's tattoos. It was a small gesture, but symbolized a step toward moving on. Despite this, conversations between OP and his ex remained strained. OP tried to understand her mindset, asking her to consider therapy to work through her feelings, but she met the suggestion with hostility. She felt attacked rather than supported. Reflecting on the relationship, OP realized how quickly things had escalated from casual dating to something more intense and complicated. He mourned the loss of what could have been, but accepted that some lines shouldn't be crossed. The breakup was necessary for his own emotional well-being. Looking back, OP understood that love sometimes comes with painful lessons. Boundaries matter, and ignoring them only leads to heartbreak. Now he focuses on healing and moving forward, grateful for the clarity he gained even through such a difficult experience. Looking back, OP remembered the early days of their relationship with a mix of warmth and regret. At first, she was fun, caring, and genuinely interested in him. They shared laughs, quiet moments, and a mutual respect that made OP hopeful. Her occasional willingness to try new things, even something as simple as accompanying him to a tattoo convention, showed a side of her he liked. These moments made OP feel valued and seen, and he believed there was potential for something real. But as time passed, subtle signs started to emerge. She became more possessive, wanting to know where he was and who he was talking to more often than before. Little boundary issues surfaced. She expected more attention and emotional intimacy faster than OP was ready to give. When OP tried to slow things down, she sometimes responded with hurt feelings or guilt trips. He chalked some of this up to her past or the intensity of new relationships, choosing to overlook it. Small incidents where OP felt uneasy were quietly dismissed as misunderstandings or differences in personality. However, the tattoo incident brought all these underlying problems into sharp focus. It wasn't just about the tattoo, it symbolized a deeper lack of respect for boundaries and personal space. That surprise was the moment OP realized their values and expectations weren't aligned. The tattoo wasn't an isolated act, but the tipping point that exposed a pattern. It revealed a relationship that was becoming unbalanced and emotionally draining. This moment forced OP to face the reality that what once felt promising was now a source of stress and heartbreak. The aftermath of the tattoo incident took a heavy toll on OP's mental health. He felt a confusing mix of emotions, hurt, betrayal, and exhaustion that clouded his daily life. The shock of seeing something so personal and permanent, created without his consent, left him questioning everything he thought he knew about the relationship. OP struggled with a deep sense of loss, not just of his girlfriend but of trust and emotional safety. The tattoo, meant as a tribute, instead became a symbol of obsession and overstepping boundaries. It drained the attraction he once felt, replacing it with discomfort and distance. What was once intimate now felt invasive, and that shift broke down their connection. Throughout this emotional turmoil, OP found himself second-guessing his decisions. Was he overreacting? Could he have communicated better? The guilt of leaving someone who claimed to love him weighed heavily, even as he recognized the necessity of protecting his own well-being. This internal conflict made healing difficult. At times, OP felt isolated, unsure who to turn to for support. The situation forced him to confront his own limits and learn the importance of boundaries in relationships. It was a painful lesson, but one that gradually helped him regain clarity and strength. Though the scars of the experience remained, OP knew moving forward meant prioritizing his mental health and self-respect. Looking back, OP realized how crucial respecting boundaries and clear communication are in any relationship. The tattoo incident was a painful but eye-opening lesson about what happens when one partner ignores those limits. It made him see how important it is to listen to red flags early on, rather than brushing them off or hoping things will improve on their own. OP acknowledged that dramatic gestures like a giant tattoo, especially, when done without consent, are not signs of love but often warning signs of deeper problems. This experience taught him to be honest with himself about what he can and cannot accept. Recognizing personal deal breakers isn't about being harsh, but about protecting one's emotional health and peace of mind. He reflected on how easy it can be to get swept up in the excitement of new love and overlook uncomfortable feelings. OP urged others to trust their instincts and speak openly when something feels off. A relationship should be a safe space where both people feel respected and valued, not one where boundaries are crossed without permission. In sharing his story, OP hoped to remind everyone that love should build you up, not tear you down. He advised viewers to be cautious of partners who push boundaries or make grand gestures before the relationship is ready. Sometimes saying no and stepping back is the bravest and healthiest choice. Through this experience, OP grew stronger and more self-aware. While the heartbreak stung, he saw it as a necessary step to learning what kind of love and respect he deserves moving forward. As this chapter closes, OP confirmed that he is finally moving on and healing from the emotional turmoil the relationship caused. The breakup, while difficult, was the right decision for his mental and emotional well-being. He's focused on regaining his peace and reconnecting with his priorities and loved ones. Meanwhile, the girlfriend is taking steps to cover up the tattoo and is reportedly seeking help to work through her feelings and actions. OP hopes she finds the support she needs, even if their paths no longer cross. Despite everything, he wishes her well. OP encouraged viewers to share their own wild or unexpected tattoo stories in the comments, creating a space for people to connect and laugh or learn from each other's experiences. He thanked everyone who followed his story and showed support during a tough time. Before signing off, OP invited viewers to subscribe for more engaging and emotional Reddit stories from the Bestof series. He promised that the next episode would be just as gripping and suspenseful, leaving a cliffhanger that would keep everyone eager to return. With gratitude and a hopeful heart, OP closed this chapter, ready to face the future with lessons learned and a clearer sense of self.